What's up, everyone? I'm your host Dom, and welcome to another episode of Minionland Minecraft. Alright, so today you see we're back in our creative world, and I just wanted to touch upon something for this episode that we really didn't reference or mention the last time. Last few times we were here, we actually started to talk a lot about the breeders, ways to improve them, ways to basically build better ones or bigger ones or whatnot. So we've been going through a couple of changes here, and we mentioned quite a few things, and we were getting into discussions about the Institute 2.0. We fixed this floor, so you see the golems aren't getting trapped here. We're trying to find out if they shouldn't be getting trapped here either. It doesn't look like they are. And of course the top, nothing happens. But anyway, we started building a smaller version right here. We've got the quad breeders going on here, and then up top we're probably going to build another pool and then a different type of iron farm up top. We're going to see how compact we can actually make this. So should be pretty cool. And of course we talked about all these other breeders over here and stuff, but the one important thing that I actually didn't touch upon that I think we really should talk about are the breeder boxes, and those are these that I've got down here by this makeshift baseball diamond city field thing. Hey, a village. There's another one. I didn't even know those were here. Wait, what's my view distance? Why is it up to 29? That's crazy. Let's just do 8. We don't need that craziness. Alright, it should be a lot smoother now. FPS should be a lot better. Anyway, that's probably explains a few things. Why was it up that high? Anyway, the breeder boxes. These things are actually very, very important when it comes to creating breeders. And this is kind of like the new way of doing it. Before, you would see what we had in Minionland, where, you know, down on, I guess, a floor below the iron farm where we used to have the breeder area, it was just a field with crops like carrots, and we had the villagers roaming free up here, and they would breed occasionally, and the little babies would run into trenches and stuff or just fall straight down the center. Anyway, the new way is actually a lot easier, a lot more compact, and it allows you to create different designs like these two over here, or even that one over there that we started on. So the breeder boxes are basically these compact, contained areas where you can have the villagers in a nice area where they won't go around, and it will basically force them to breed because they really don't have anything else to do. You know, they are whatever time interval that they're on, they could just hop right to it as they're standing right next to each other. It really creates for an effective breeder. Now, there's lots of different ways you can go about this, and we're going to discuss how or what is the best way and what is not the best way. So let's jump into that. So to start off with, and before I get started actually, none of these are in a particular order. None of them should be in a particular order. I just started building a lot of different examples, so we'll go over what's good and bad about each one. Now here, to start off with, on this side, this is not a bad breeder box. You can see that the villagers are, you know, spaced out enough. You've got one in each corner and then one in each side. Before I go any further on top of that, try not to put more than 8 villagers in these things. The problem with some of these, which we'll encounter, is overpopulating, and we'll get into that much more later. But as you can see, we've got 8. You can get away with just having 4, and you'll primarily want to use the cobblestone walls. You can add fences for additional support and for decor reasons, but I will tell you this: if you do not have a fence post here in the corners, the ones that are in the side will slide right into the corners. So this keeps them evenly spaced apart, has a nice little structure here, and the fence post in the middle keeps them from jumping across, and you can also toss down food right onto this. Now, of course, they're not going to grab the fence post, but you can see that if this were food, it would land right there on the fence post and they could grab it. They are supported on the cobblestone wall down here at the bottom, and because it's a cobblestone wall, it has that extra half block height of clearance or hitbox area, so they stand at the very top of that. That allows you to be able to actually knock away these, because right now this isn't a bad design, but it could be better. And to make it better, you would just get rid of these cobblestone walls. The fence in the middle, again, is just kind of keeping them separated. It allows them to not jump across and stuff, and that's really ideal. So this is a decent breeder box. Now, if we move on to the next one, you can see that this one actually has a unique design, but there are flaws with this one. You don't want to have cobblestone all the way down. Now, the reason that this one has cobblestone all the way down is because it's supporting this water block. Do not put water blocks in these breeder boxes. Some people believe that the water, gives them this jumpy motion, and that gives them, enhanced rate of breeding. I don't know whether that's true or not. Regardless, the water block has a flaw, and that flaw is that it will keep baby villagers. It'll keep baby villagers up in the breeder box, and sometimes they can stay up there long enough for them to turn into adults, and that creates a situation where you start to populate the breeder box instead of those babies popping out. If the breeder box reaches a certain amount of villagers, that breeder box will stop breeding, because that group of villagers will say, hey, I've reached the maximum limit, I don't have to breed anymore. And that's what you don't want. Now again, the cobblestone walls here, that's gonna also keep those baby villagers inside the breeder box. So that's another no-no. That's another thing you don't want to do. Now this one doesn't have any pieces in the corners, and that's why you can see that the villagers have all spread apart into the corners, and they're Z-fighting, they're overlapping. And now I don't even know how many villagers are. This looks like 2, but it almost looks like 3 at some points. It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell how many villagers you actually have in here, and that makes it hard to keep track of whether this thing is fully functioning or not. So this is a really bad design. I would not really build it in this fashion. Now this is another bad design, and it's not really meant to be keeping the villagers up here. It's merely to show that there's a cobblestone wall in the center, and you cannot force the villagers into a space with a cobblestone wall there. And that's why they're kind of sitting up here. They just will not fall into the breeder box. So that's primarily the main example of this one. Now this one looks pretty cool, looks not bad at all, but it has a flaw. There's a fence post down here, and the gap at the bottom, well, as you can see, I'm standing on it, but if I try to move anywhere else, I fall right through. So this won't hold villagers at all, and that's why it's empty. The gap between the cobblestone wall and the fence is too great, and it just allows for them to fall through. So no good. Here's another one using a water block. And instead of having the cobblestone wall all the way down at the bottom, we're using blocks with signs. The signs are holding the water block in place. Better, but again, you're still using a water block. It has that potential to keep baby villagers up into the breeder box, allowing them to grow there and eventually seizing the breed function in your breeder box. Now these guys look like they're having a hell of a blast though, jumping up and down in here. So the next one, it's more or less like the second one we encountered. It's got the cobblestone walls down at the bottom. This will trap the baby villagers. It doesn't have the water block in the center this time, so it has the potential of releasing some, but at the same time, this could also reduce the amount or possibility for those baby villagers to jump out. So this one does have some flaw to it, even though it's a little bit better. It's not the best, but I would definitely not have any blocks by the villagers' feet. Here's a different one. It's like slightly more complex. So this is weird because, again, you're using a water block. That's a no. You have blocks down here by their feet. That's a no. But this one is actually using the fence post to keep them separated. Now this one you could probably only do 4 villagers in. You could probably overlap them if you really wanted to, but I wouldn't. And yeah, it's kind of interesting just because it's possible to put villagers next to each other like that with fences separating them. I don't know what that would do to the efficiency of the breeding situation, but I don't think I would consider this one a good breeder, well, for multiple factors at that. The water block, the cobblestone walls down here, and the fence separating them is kind of questionable. This one also follows the same line as that one, but it doesn't have the cobblestone walls down here by their feet. It has the fence posts. This actually produces for greater space. This one will probably allow the villagers, or the baby villagers, to pop out more, especially because it has the fence post separating them in the center. But I don't know how well that actually breeds with that situated like that. Now you can see this one has a villager in the corner just to show off what that looks like. Not quite sure what these would breed like. I haven't actually tested these. It was just, you know, something I wanted to show off because I found that you can place them like this. I would probably do something about, you know, the whole water in the center, though. Not sure that really would work out too well. So moving on, I would have to say this is probably one of the best breeder situations you could run into. If we look above, you can see we have 8 villagers in here. There's 1 in each corner and then 1 against the wall or the sides. You've got the cobblestone walls holding them in place at their head level. You've got fences holding the corner or the side guys situated so that they don't slide into the corners. You also have fence posts down the center that will allow them to not jump across, and they're being supported by a cobblestone wall. So this is actually really, really good. You could also dump food on this one, and they should grab it. Oh, I think there they go. I'm not sure why they're not grabbing all of them. That's kind of weird, but they should be grabbing them. You can also place blocks along the sides as well. So if you really wanted to just put a block, let's see, maybe somewhere out here next to the breeder, you should be able to toss down food, and they should grab it. They should be able to reach that. Maybe, yeah, you can see they're just grabbing them right off the edge. Maybe these are too far, but you can do situations like that as well. Now these last 3 are very different. Instead of using the cobblestone walls or fences to hold them in place, we're actually using full blocks. And you can see here we've got a cobblestone wall and a fence post, and if we look down below, they are standing on the half block height of above each of these wall fence post type models. Anyway, you don't have to use glass. I just used glass to show off what's inside. And it seems like these guys moved a little bit from the last time I was here. Last time they were all in the corner. I have 4 villagers in each of these, and they should all be standing in the corner. Oh no, I dumped 6 into this one. This one should have 4. Yeah, there's that other guy. And then this one should have 4 as well. Yeah, no, this one's got 5. I must have miscounted. Anyway, this is just a different way. It keeps them more compact. Some people think that this causes them to breed a little bit better. It's hard to say, actually. I've never actually used this style, so I can't tell you firsthand. I honestly prefer this model. It works really well for me. And this one right here actually has a iron bar that they're standing on. So you can see you can even use that to maximize the drop rate of the baby villagers and hold them in place with blocks by their heads. And because this one is an iron bar, they stand directly on it, you can actually drop the height of your project or your breeder here, because you can see here this one requires an additional block because of the height difference and where their heads are. You could probably, no, see, you could seal this up just like this, whereas this one you'd have to go even higher, or you could even just seal it up at this height level all the way across. But basically, these are the breeder boxes. This is the stuff that you want to pay attention to when you're building breeders, or, you know, just breeder boxes. All of these will, not all of these will work, but these 3 will definitely work, and I would say this one as well. This is probably the best you could go for a 3x3, and if you really want to place all the villagers in one block space, these 3 would definitely help you out. And as you can see, you definitely want them to sit in a pattern like this. The only problem with these is that they have the ability to actually, well, like these 2 did, merge into the corners on top of each other. So that's the only problem with that one. That's why I really like these. It keeps them apart, keeps them looking at each other as they're doing, and they will trade to their heart's content and breed to their heart's content. So guys, these are the breeders. Don't do any of these prior ones. Do not use water blocks. Do not place blocks near their torso or feet, because that will potentially lock up your breeder boxes eventually, just like the water blocks. And yeah, guys, if you have any questions about any of these styles, any of these breeder boxes, let me know in the comments field below. Drop me a like if you liked this video. Hopefully this was informative and gave you some insight as far as breeders and breeder boxes and villagers. And do me a big favor, guys, subscribe. Get your friends and family to subscribe, and do so if you haven't subscribed yet, especially because, you know, we're trying to do something here. We're trying to put out videos, have a fun time, build a community, and I will catch you all in the next episodes of Minionland Minecraft. Until next time, see you all later.